What's going on, guys? I figured I'd do a quick post haspin video. So we made it through haspin all right, no serious injuries. I rolled this one twice, just quick little dumps over on its side, nothing too fast or too crazy, just, shit happens. I'm thinking before haspin next year, I'm gonna do a different fender setup because I really don't like that. The seat actually swivels all the way around 360 degrees, so that's kind of cool when we're taking breaks. I can just flip it around and chill out, but on the trail, when I get into some real technical shit, it likes to move around on me. The brand new Vanguard is running great. No problems out of it other than an oily air filter from when I rolled it. The choke lever and the electronic carb solenoid are working great. That's a choke there, choke on, choke off, carb solenoid, ignition, all that stuff still working great. Horn still works. I found my headlight harness, so I was able to hook up the factory lights. They don't work very well with having the frame extended right there and lifted up. It kind of points the headlights up, but it does clear the engine, so I kind of needed to do that. I'm thinking about putting some LEDs flush into this top piece right here, kind of like the Rainbow Boxer has on his Craftsman. He's got a square body Craftsman, and they're mounted right about here on the grill, just flush in the sheet metal. So I think I'm going to do that here, since this is non-structural. I'm not going to cut anything out down here because this is all still kind of important. And then I'm thinking a skid plate or something to go from this plane down to here. And then I could continue it all the way down, but then I lose my center ground clearance, which is really nice to have with the independent front suspension. I don't get hung up where some of the Morons do. So I'm thinking maybe just a piece of rebar to tie this corner to this corner here, so I kind of get a little bit of skid action there, but I don't lose anything there in the middle. I think other than that, it's going to be relatively unchanged. I need to figure out something with the bell crank, because the steering is much better than it was, but there's still that much play in it, and it just gets kind of sketchy at higher speeds. But this steering box is so much better than the Cub Cadet. Luke's tractor actually did pretty well. He did roll it pretty hard. We went down Spaghetti Bowl, and Dan let us down the wrong side. Usually we stick more to the right side, and we went down the left side. He pretty much just said, "Hey, this is Spaghetti Bowl. I like Spaghetti Bowl," and went down, and there's a curve a little bit down the path, so you couldn't really see the bottom. So Dan goes down, Luke waits a few minutes and then follows, and he sees Dan's tractor up against a tree, and Dan just going like, "Nope, not this way." Luke panics because he's inexperienced and just, he didn't really know what to do in that situation once he saw the drop off, and he tried to put it in reverse. He accidentally put it in neutral and came flying down off of a 2-foot rock ledge, somersaulted the tractor on top of him, tore up his back pretty good, all the way halfway down his butt. Got him pretty good on the arms too, and it was a hard rollover. Bent the spindle and bent the seat up pretty good, but that was all the damage the tractor took. Had an hour. I'm glad I brought my vise with me, and I had it ready to go back out on the trail within an hour. But right now, I'm going to show you a couple other projects I've had that I've shown you guys before on my previous channel. That's my Simplicity. That's the second tractor I ever built. That's a 4212, so I assume it had a 42-inch deck. It's got a 12-horse flathead Briggs and a Peerless 801 5-speed transmission, and it's pretty tough. Like, it's a stout tractor. It's just not really haspin material. I built this to be a work tractor, and I'd like to bring it back. I really like the tractor. It's strong, it's sturdy, but oh, the steering is super tight on it too. It's got a real short ratio, and there's very little play in it. That's all there is. and it's got a cast iron front axle with a wishbone that kind of keeps it centered and stout. The thing with this one is it's tall and it's narrow, so it's not great to build for haspin. This tractor though, I want to revamp this. So currently it's got a 10 horse flathead Briggs. I believe it's a 25 cubic inch. It's still got the factory wiring harness that is meh. I'll probably redo that. But the real great thing about this one is it's got a Peerless 700. Now it's only a 3-speed, but that's enough. And I'm putting together a spare Vanguard. I don't foresee having any issues out of my brand new one, knock on wood. So I'm thinking maybe throw a Vanguard in here up front. I'll build a custom front axle for it. Maybe I'll try to put suspension on it, I don't know. If I do, I think I'll do a solid front axle and maybe a panhard bar or something to keep it located. And yeah, I'll just do something like that, something a little different than the independent front suspension. The seat on it already sits really low. It doesn't have a hinge. There's nothing under there anyway because the battery sits under the hood, the fuel tank sits under the hood, everything's up front. But somehow my 140-pound brother on flat ground managed to bend the hell out of the axle. It's supposed to be parallel with the fender. So that's a 3/4 inch chain drive rear axle. It's not a live axle, there is a differential under there. So I'm thinking a 1-inch chromoly shaft on some nice pillow blocks. I'll get the back lowered a little bit and widened a bit, and I'll be able to swap some sprockets around. It's already got a small pulley swap. I think it goes about 12. That's about what both of these tractors go. So neither one of these are real hot rods, but they're a little better than stock. The steering on this one's got quite a bit of play, and that's just from side to side walking of the axle. It needs tightened up. But the gear itself is pretty damn thick. So, I mean, it's the size of my fingernail probably, yeah, about that. So I'd say about a 1/2 inch thick. So it's sturdy. It just needs some help with the front axle, which if I do suspension, I'll be rebuilding all that anyway. So I'm thinking this could be a fun little smaller tractor build to take as like a spare for haspin, or yeah, just I want to bring it back because it's a neat tractor. It's in really good shape, and since my brother kind of got his new dirt bike, I want to do something with this tractor because he never rides it. I built it for him. He rode it probably 3 or 4 times, and here it sits. So it's kind of a shame. I'm going to take it over. It's mine now. Over here, we've got the parts tractor that I got my steering out of for the Mark II, sitting under the deck. I don't even remember exactly what it was. If any of you feel so inclined as to look up the model number, there it is right there, 917.273752. If you really feel the need to look it up, you can figure out exactly what this tractor was that I took my steering out of. I really don't care because it's in pieces now. So yeah, that's a quick little update on all the tractors and everything. Oh, Luke's tractor, that MTD that we were building, we named it Mater, and what day was that? I think it was Friday night. We were going to try to catch up with the rest of the riders. We were on the main trail and just tooling along, and he locked it up solid. It turns out it burns oil a little bit faster than we anticipated, so we ran it out of oil. We didn't check it before that ride, even though I had said we should probably check the oil because the oil filter delete plate on the Mark II over there, for some reason the gasket leaks on it, so it kind of pumps out oil at a steady drip. So I had to keep topping off the oil on that. It wasn't burning it, just leaking it, so I need to address that too. Oh, I'd like to thread the block too, so I don't have to reach up under the tins and try to hold a nut on top. And I mean, that's just a pain. So I'll thread the block, get some bigger bolts for it that'll actually hold it into the block. That'll make removal and installation way easier. But back to Luke's tractor. We got it running, unlocked the next day, filled with oil, and it runs okay, smokes a lot, knocks a little bit. It's not horrible, but it needs rebuilt. So I've got a couple of spare pistons connecting rods out of some overhead valves that I've parted out. So I will be rebuilding that engine with them and porting it out. I've got a bigger carburetor to put on it off of a 14.5 horse overhead valve. Just a general rebuild and mild hot rodding. The governor's going away. Just little things. So he definitely wants a foot throttle. He really liked how the other guys' foot throttles worked on their tractors. When he would get down to the bottom of a crevice and kind of get into a little bit of mud, he had to keep reaching forward for the governor. Instead of changing gears, he just revved it up and was able to power through. So he'd like to be able to do that with the foot throttle, foot pedal. So we've got some little tweaks to make between the tractors, but the only full rebuild I see coming would be that small Craftsman out there, the 1036. So, and that thing doesn't really have to be done by any deadline. It's not in the build off. I don't need it done by next haspin or anything. So until then, you know, I'll get to it when I get to it. I've got my red truck that needs pretty much taken down to the bare frame to get everything done to it that I want done to it. So I'll be moving on to the red truck here soon. I'll be posting haspin videos here shortly once I get to my computer and get them all put together. It was cool getting to meet Mr. Studebaker. It was great seeing Tom, Off-Road Ohio. No, that wasn't Off-Road Ohio. That was Creepy Crawler. So sorry about that, Tom. But it was cool getting to see you again. I missed out seeing you last year. Mr. Modified, Junior and Senior, I got to see them again this year because they didn't attend Haspin last year. It was great to see them again. A couple good guys. Great seeing the Morons as usual. Just a good bunch of guys there from Ohio. And of course, Red ZO2. It was great putting up with your shenanigans as always. So yeah, it was a lot of fun seeing everyone, a lot of fun hanging out, a lot of fun out on the trails, just a blast again. Luckily, I didn't really have too much break this year. I was able to get through a lot of stuff. I didn't get stuck too often, and when I did, it was deep mud. Like I've said before, haspin mud looks solid, and then it's not. So anyway, it was a good trip, successful trip, and Luke's tractor is going to be going back again next year. Luke's planning on going. So you guys will be able to look forward to seeing that tractor more in the future. So take her easy.